Right off the top of the show, 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. That is the phone number to give me a call or shoot me a text here. Participate in the program as we're going to keep this thing rolling tonight as long as the people want to keep this thing rolling tonight as the Warriors find themselves in unfamiliar territory. Down 0-2 for the first time in the Steph, Clay, Draymond era, as the Kings able to do a little bit of what they did the other night. The Warriors unable to fix their turnover issues or their fouling issues or their bad shot issues, although I thought they took fewer bad shots tonight than they did in the game on Saturday night. But the Warriors with another game down the stretch here where it winds up looking an awful lot like it looked in the regular season. Tonight's game, incredibly physical both ways, and a lot of fouls, a lot of uncalled fouls, and the Warriors had talked about trying to match the Kings' physicality and keep them off the offensive glass. And again, at times tonight they were able to do that. Other times they were not able to do that as well. And it was just a game of fits and starts again for Golden State. Good start, 23-17 at the end of the first quarter. The defense was locked in, and I think the Warriors are probably going to tell you up until the final couple of minutes, they were really happy with their defensive play in this game. But the offense bogged down, far too many turnovers, momentum changing bad shots in key junctures. And every time it looked like the Warriors were about to go on a run to either get back in the game after they got down and the game got away in the second quarter, there would be a bad shot or a bad turnover, and the Kings would hit the Warriors with another little 4-6 point run, put the lead right back up. The Warriors, I do think, deserve credit for continuing to fight back in this one, but they found themselves on an uphill climb all night long after the 41-29 second quarter advantage for Sacramento, but the Warriors still able to get the game tied at 95 apiece. But over the course of those final couple of minutes there, the Warriors, they end up getting outscored by a 19-11 count after they tied it at 95, and you add it all up, and the Warriors are 0-2 as this series shifts to San Francisco and Chase Center for Thursday night. And the Warriors, make no mistake, they are in a must-win situation not only Thursday but Sunday. These games are now paired together. The Warriors' season is officially on the brink, and it has looked, as this series has gone on, another fourth quarter where De'Aaron Fox has his way. And while the Warriors have been able to, I think, do some things defensively throughout the game, the money time has been completely dominated by De'Aaron Fox in both of these games, and the defense just hasn't been there as the offense got rolling to at least get the game tied. But throughout the majority of the game, the Warriors' offense was not good enough. 23 points in the first and third quarters. Sacramento did a nice job defensively tonight, a team that's not known for their defense, but the one thing they've been able to do is ramp up the physicality in a major way. You don't always have to be good defensively if you're physical defensively. And I think, that's something that has plagued the Warriors a little bit in the early going of this series. And when the Warriors have tried to be physical, they've been a little bit of a step slow, and they've put the Kings on the free throw line, some momentum-changing fouls, all of those things. And the Warriors find themselves now in this series where they are down 0-2. So 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. It is Warriors wrap up here with John Dickinson on 95.7 The Game. I want to hear from you. We'll keep this thing rolling deep into the night if need be. And just how you feeling, Warrior fans, at this point as the Warriors find themselves in unfamiliar territory, down 0-2 in this series. This team's been through a lot in the championship era, but we found a new one, and the Warriors themselves have found a new one with the 0-2 deficit in a series where they are heading home, and the pressure is going to be on them to accept that challenge and get this series back to Sacramento a week from Wednesday in a 2-2 position. And then all the pressure, I think, at that point shifts a little bit more back to the Kings as the team that got the first two games to make sure that they hold serve. But now the pressure clearly on the Warriors. All right, let's get into the incident involving Draymond Green, because this game had it all, and I'm going to file that under the category of what my guy Matt Steinmetz says, hey, stuff's going to happen if these two teams wind up playing. It was E40 getting ejected in Game 1. Tonight it was Draymond Green getting ejected for the stomp as he tried to step over and away from Domantas Sabonis. And Sabonis had grabbed his leg. There was a lengthy review, as everybody saw. And you're not going to want to miss what Draymond Green had to say postgame after this one about the fact that he feels he's been held now a couple of times, had his ankles grabbed a couple of times, once by Malik Monk in the last game. I know there was the play where Sabonis and Draymond got tangled up under the basket in Game 1 late. But Draymond said, hey, I'm trying to get my balance, not really anywhere I could go. I guess the explanation on the ejection was that he stepped down or stomped down too hard, and that's why it wound up being a flagrant foul and an automatic ejection. I think the optics of the play, regardless of intent, and because I don't think Draymond meant to stomp on the chest of Domantas Sabonis, but the look of the play, the optics, that tells you, all right, that's probably going to be an ejection and probably should be an ejection. Sabonis was hit for a technical foul for the ankle grab, but as you look toward this, I initially had thought, hey, do the Warriors have to be worried about a potential suspension possibly for Draymond? We'll see on that. I don't know. In the post-game press conference, I was like, well, what's Draymond going to say? And I figured he was going to come out and get on the officials for some other stuff, not involving that play necessarily. But I think the fact that they hit Draymond with the ejection for the flagrant 2 in this game, and I think the circumstances that the league will review regarding some of the other plays in this series that have been a little bit more 50-50 with the physicality in terms of the officiating. I'd be surprised now after hearing the post-game press conference if Draymond were to get a suspension. All right, 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. Warriors wrap up here on 95.7 The Game. We'll get to the secret sauce. We'll get to the hardest working player of the game, but I want to hear from you, and we're going to get this thing rolling right now on 95.7 The Game with Idris in Hayward. Idris, you are up first tonight here on Warriors Wrap Up with JD. What's going on, Idris?
What's going on? Good evening. So appreciate you doing this. Watching that game, if a person only watched the fourth quarter, they would think the Warriors almost had it. But the way the Warriors played, they had no business even winning that game. Because I don't know whether they're tired or they're just not alert. But that first half, I was wondering, like, what do we do? Put these people away, the turnovers, and then eventually Sacramento got their groove back, and then it became a dogfight. And we're the older team; they're young and physical. We can't afford to start, and I don't know. Just watching the game now, we're in a legit must-win. But what was that guy? Monk did what Steph Curry does to teams to us. Came in, hit 3 threes, and it was like, what's going on? So, the Warriors got their homework cut out for them. We have to win the next game, but this is going to be a long, long series. But other than Steph and a little bit of Wiggins, I don't know who else has shown up. But that's all I got. God bless you.
Yeah, appreciate you, Idris. Yeah, look, the Warriors at times have looked old. Let's just put the rat right on the table. Shout out Guru, who was in the house tonight here at Golden One Center in Sacramento. The Warriors have looked old, and the Kings have made them look a little bit old in this series. And there have been moments where the Warriors have run their offense and it's been a freaking layup line for Golden State over and over and over. But then there are other times where the Warriors settle. I do think the physicality, even though it's not always good defense, but there's some fouling involved, has bothered the Warriors. They've had to work really hard and have not been consistent in staying with it. They've I think settled a lot. And look, you're going to take some bad shots and make them. You're going to take some bad shots and miss them. But I think there's been a little bit lacking in critical moments of you've worked so hard to get back into a game or to hang around in a game. When you get that big stop or that big turnover, you got to go down the other way and make sure you get another layup off of it to make that team pay and really start to instill a lot of doubt. The Kings have come out tight in both of these games, not making threes. They ended up on the night, they only made 9 of 38 threes. The Kings made 9 of 38 from 3 and 12 of 32 in the first game, and the Kings have won both games. Why? Well, the Warriors didn't take as many threes, but the Warriors are 32% in both games. And so the Warriors are not making shots. They're settling for bad ones. They're not being disciplined enough when they're able to run their offense for layups, and they've just been erratic in this series to this point. But I think some of that comes with being the older team and the Kings being relentless. The Kings' competitiveness has been relentless in this series. The physicality has been relentless in this series. They keep punching and punching and punching, and the Warriors have punched back at times, but the Warriors really haven't been able to land any kind of haymaker because every time they have an opportunity to do it, they have a stretch where they take a bad shot and then have a turnover or three, and the Kings go back the other way on a 6-0 run, and then they're back down again and have to climb their way right back up the mountain. That was the story, I thought, tonight in this game after the Kings got control in that second quarter with the 41-29 period. And look, this thing switched again in the first quarter when Steph Curry went out of the game late in the first quarter and early second quarter. And the group for the Warriors that played in this game at the top of the second quarter, again, just didn't have it. And that's another thing to get into here. The Warriors, as so many of these playoff series have gone on, it gets to be about the playable players. And the Warriors right now are looking like they've got fewer playable players in this game because some of their players have been exposed by what the Kings are trying to do, whether it's the athleticism and really more the quickness than the athleticism. But the Warriors are going to have to figure out some answers tonight. Jonathan Kuminga was terrible. Jordan Poole was worse. 1 of 7, only played 15 minutes. I know I said today I wouldn't have played Kuminga at all in this game. He had a minus 10 4-minute stretch tonight in the second quarter. Basically, Kerr gave him the same run he gave him at the top of the second quarter the other night. He was just as bad, actually worse tonight, and Kerr went away from him for the rest of the game. Now, he's somebody that if the Warriors were playing another game in Golden One Center, he'd be a DNP coach's decision. He got hunted and torched. Poole got hunted and torched in terms of attack defensively. They were going at Kuminga, putting him in different actions. Poole with the missed layups and the hurriedness. And he's somebody else that teams attack when he's on the floor. And Mike Brown's really tried to attack him throughout the course of the early going of this series. But at this point, and again, maybe being at home changes it, but I just don't see how you could trust Jonathan Kuminga to play. I don't see how you could trust Jordan Poole to play at this point in time. And the Warriors are dealing with foul trouble on top of the lack of trustable rotation players. And so they find themselves now with, who do you trust? Steph, Clay, Draymond, Wiggins, Looney. DiVincenzo was not good tonight. DiVincenzo didn't take a shot tonight. How does Dante DiVincenzo, and he only played 12 minutes, but doesn't take a shot in the game tonight? It's basically Peyton. Peyton was the sixth. The Warriors got to a point tonight where they had 6 playable players. 6 playable players ain't going to be enough to get the job done in this series. That's just the reality. 888-957-9570. Keep it rolling on the phone lines with Eric and San Leandro next here on Warriors Wrap-Up. What's going on, Eric?
Hey there. How's it going there?
Hey, turn your radio down, brother. Turn your radio down, brother. I'll give you some room.
Moses Moody is not the answer. He's not a good defender. He's not consistent with his shots. And when Kerr put him in the game, man, I almost jumped up and was like, man, what is he doing? I mean,
Moses Moody helped the Warriors tonight, Eric. Moses Moody, and he went to Moody because Kuminga made himself unplayable, and Moses Moody actually helped him a little bit tonight. He was able to get on the boards. He was solid defensively. The shot making from three wasn't there, but he did get a couple of other buckets, one on a layup, another on a putback. I mean, he had 5 boards. I mean, Moody's somebody I look at now and think he's going to be playing. He was actually the seventh playable tonight for the Warriors.
He came in with 2 fouls, though, right away, 2 or 3 fouls.
Yep. No doubt. I'll let you finish your point, man. What else you got?
No, you're great tonight. No, I mean, I agree with you. I guess I've never been that big on Moses Moody, but especially like a game like now. I would have rather went with Kuminga and gave him a chance to explore some of his talents and gifts he has. I would have went with Kuminga.
Kuminga stunk. Kuminga hadn't had it in either game. And thanks, Eric. I'm gonna keep it moving. Going back to Kuminga, like Steve Kerr had, and again, I think Steve Kerr gave him one too many chances. And I said that with Steiny and Guru today here on 95.7 The Game, and I don't want to make this postgame show about that. It's about Steph Curry's got to be better. It's about Klay Thompson's got to be better. It's about Draymond's got to be better. It's about Wiggins has got to start knocking down the 3 ball. Otherwise, Wiggins has been really good in this series, and he's been the kind of player that the Kings kind of don't have an answer for. But Andrew Wiggins, you look at him tonight, he's 7 of 11 from 2. He's 2 of 8 from 3. And it ends up being kind of an inefficient, 22 points, but he took 19 shots to get it. Moses Moody helped save the Warriors. And yeah, he picked up a couple of fouls quickly in this one, but I'm not getting on Steve Kerr for going to Moses Moody. It was Moses Moody or JaMychal Green when you got Kevon Looney and you've got Draymond Green in foul trouble throughout the course of the night. And so to me, Moses Moody was the right call. I tweeted it out at halftime. I said I wouldn't go to Kuminga again. And so he went to Moody when Looney picked up the 5th foul there, and they went a little bit smaller. And look, I look at Moses Moody as somebody that, now Mike Brown has a chance to potentially look at some of the things that he can be attacked. And Mike Brown's coaching himself a nice series here in these first 2 games. But to me, Moody is somebody that I'm putting him in the rotation to play in Game 3, and then you go from there. But unless you're believing that things are going to be different for Poole and Kuminga on the home floor, I think those guys are playing their way out of the rotation, especially Jonathan Kuminga. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. It's John Dickinson here at Golden One Center on 95.7 The Game. Chris in San Francisco's next here on Warriors Wrap-Up. What's going on tonight, Chris?
Not much. What's going on tonight? Hey, this is a hard-fought loss, and the problem is this. I was always wondering, this year, will the Warriors look past the first-round opponent? And I'm starting to get that feeling. Just seeing how Game 1 went and Game 2 went, the plays from how Mike Brown has strategically, you have a guy that actually sat the bench next to the Warriors, so he knows how to defend the Warriors, and the Warriors needed to know that. You knew that he was going to put De'Aaron Fox against Jay Poole. They both could match up very well. And Poole needs to understand that when you're going head first, 100 mile per hour against De'Aaron Fox, you got to jump stop and pull up, fake. Little things like that. Kuminga, he needs to adjust himself. I'm wondering, Laker went on, a couple months ago, went on radio and said that I want to be like Jerry Buss. I want to win as much as Jerry Buss. And if you don't recall, remember Jerry Buss to get to winning he made a tough decision. He let go of Jerry West, right? Because he thought Jerry West was not making the decision. And I'm wondering this whole chaos situation, not only with from the team from the bench to the front office, is creating a pot of just chaos for the Warriors in the sense where they haven't signed Bob Myers yet. And I'm wondering,
Yeah.
in a sense, at first I thought, hey, what are you doing? But then I look back and if you look back at the league right now, who are some of the players that are really stepping up? Look at the Lakers. Reeves, undrafted. How do we miss that? How do we miss
All right, appreciate. I'm going to jump in, Chris. Appreciate the call. Look, I think that some of that is a conversation for the offseason, and that's based on, how does this series end? How does this season ultimately end if the Warriors are able to come back from 0-2 down and win this series? The post-mortem on what the Warriors could have done versus, didn't do. Like, we can hash all that out in May or June, or hell, the way this thing is going, we can hash it out in a week if the Warriors can't get their act together at this point. As far as looking at a hard-fought loss, I mean, it's two games that were kind of similar. Warriors get off to a decent start, don't make Sacramento pay. Kings are able to, control down the stretch. And the Warriors, tonight it was more turnovers than bad shots, but it was fouls in both games, and it was the Kings being able to get away with being the more physical team based on the fact that I think they were the instigators of that physicality. The Warriors have been the reactors to the physicality over the course of these first couple of games. And, look, again, as far as the playables and the Comcast business text line, 510, you can't say somebody stinks if you only play him 4 minutes. Jonathan Kuminga was terrible. Jordan Poole was terrible. Like, it's like there is a reason that he only played 4 minutes. The reason was because Steve Kerr thought about not playing him at all, and then he thought, I'm going to give him one more shot, and then he was awful. Like, it's not that hard to figure out through the first couple of games. And again, this series is shifting back to San Francisco, and so role players and young players tend to play better on the home floor than they do on the road. And so I do think there's a conversation to be had as to, all right, do you still ride with Jordan Poole, who I think you do have to at least initially give Jordan Poole an opportunity on the home floor to try and be a useful player for you, because he's got more of a track record of helping this team win playoff games than a lot of these other young players. But he's going to have to be better, and he only played 15 tonight. And again, playoff series, I'm going to say this over and over, they come down to playables. They come down to who is playable, and right now the Warriors have 6 players basically that they trust fully. It's Steph, Clay, Looney, Draymond, Wiggins, and it's Gary Payton II. And tonight it was Moses Moody, who was only playing because of the foul trouble and because Dante DiVincenzo wasn't effective and because Jonathan Kuminga was terrible in his short stint. And so that opened the door for somebody else to get an opportunity. And again, as bad as Kuminga was, I thought Moses Moody gave him a nice lift tonight and helped him get back into the game and have a chance to win it. So moving forward, I think Moses Moody's somebody that I'd pencil in to at least give an initial shot to. Tristan in Temecula, California, next on Warriors Wrap Up. What's going on, Tristan?
Hey, John, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, brother?
I'm good, man. Another loss that definitely kind of defeats the confidence, but I'm still optimistic that they go home, split this thing up 2 apiece, possibly win 1 game in Sacramento, I hope, to close it out in 6 in Golden State. But they have to have Jordan Poole go off. It's a must. They cannot win this series without him. You can't have Gary Payton and Moses Moody pretty much outplay you and outscore you. He's got to be that main guy off the bench to kind of set the tone. And I agree with you with Moody. I felt like Moody was the only, besides, Gary Payton, was the only real burst of young energy to match Sacramento. And that's what they've just been lacking this whole series, is that energy to lack them, getting beat by transition, the turnovers, not able to catch up and stay in front of anybody. I did really like what I saw from Moody. Jonathan Kuminga, very disappointed. I hope he can turn around at home, but at this point, I feel like he should take a back seat just to see, because at this point, like you said, they're only down to a few players that they can really trust and play consistently without any constant errors. But even the older player, even the vets are making constant errors almost every night.
No doubt.
I don't know what they're going to do in these next couple days to a week, but they better figure it out, because it's either that or Cancun they go.
No doubt, Tristan. Appreciate the call. Yeah, the Warriors are going to have to figure out, I think, their offense over the course of the bulk of the game. I think for the most part in both games, the offense has been the offense tonight was just bad overall. I think the defense has been solid enough up until the down the stretch moments, up until the game is tied and there's 5 minutes to go and the Warriors have to get stops and they're either unable to contain Fox at all or Monk in game number one on Saturday night, or when they do get a stop, they can't clear the rebound. That has crushed them. Throughout the early part of the game, it's been the offense, I think, more. The defense has been steadier early in the game. The offense has not. They've gotten the offense going to get themselves back into the game, but as the offense gets going, the defense goes away. And I think that's created all kinds of problems for the Warriors here as things have gone on. 888-957-9570. We got a lot of people that want to talk on the phone lines. I want to get to the secret sauce of the game, which is brought to you by Proposition Chicken. This chicken goes three ways: fried, flipped, and fake. Now available in 9 Bay Area locations, or order now at propositionchicken.com. And it's pretty simple tonight for the Warriors. Tonight was about the turnovers and the fouls. 22 turnovers for the Warriors, leading to 25 Sacramento points. They got outscored 25-9. 25-9 in points off turnovers. The Warriors have gotten smoked in both games in points off turnovers. The difference today, it was a 16-point differential in favor of the Kings in a game they win by 8. On Saturday night, it was an 11-point differential in a game that the Kings wound up winning by 3 to take the 1-0 advantage on Saturday. Turnovers, the secret sauce, too many fouls, inability to clear critical critical rebounds, and then down the stretch again, final 254, 12-5 Kings. 12-5 Kings over the final 254, and the Warriors find themselves, it was Klay Thompson hit the 3 to make it 102-101, and then they stopped Fox. I thought it was a critical moment. They stopped the Aaron Fox, but couldn't clear the board. Sabonis got a putback, 104-101. Warriors go down. They miss. Fox then hits the 3 from up top, 107-101, and at that point, it was trouble. You had the review of the Curry charge, which they got that call right after they called it a charge and then flipped it to a defensive foul on Sabonis for having his heel in the restricted area. So Curry makes it a 4-point game, but then Harrison Barnes just takes it for a big bucket, off the dribble take, hits a little runner, back up 6. Klay clanks a 3 into a foul, and Mitchell hits the 3 that basically ices it at 112-103. Kings go on to win it 114-106. So your secret sauce of the game, brought to you by Proposition Chicken. Again, fried, flipped, fake. 9 Bay Area are at propositionchicken.com. Back to the go. 888-957-9570. Matthew is driving around here on 101 tonight on 95.7 The Game. What's going on, Matthew?
Hey, yeah, how's it going, man? I two things. One, I think Poole has to be part of the answer, like that last caller said, and I totally get where you're coming from, that he had a bad game. A real bad game, but he's hit 300 threes. He's won games. He scores over 20 points in a quarter. He's done that multiple times. There's not a lot of guys who do that. So I know he's got his defensive problems, but I think until these champs are knocked off, and it looks like that is becoming more of a possibility, because the other thing I was going to say, and you've touched on it, is what's weird about these two games is the Warriors didn't play that bad. It's not like they played great, but the Kings didn't play that great either, and the Warriors lost. So it almost would be more acceptable if like they got blown out or somebody was way off. But after that first game, I was looking at one of my friends and I was going, damn, these Kings, it looks like they're going to hang around. But I'll just finish with this. Until this team gets knocked off, even if they lose that first game in San Francisco, but
they've earned that from me, and not just from being a homer. I mean, they're still that good. Steph Curry is one of the dozen greatest players to ever play in an NBA game. And if you want to say a baker's dozen, because we got to go 13, then whatever. But they're not out yet, so I think they can get their magic back. And if they can win 2 at home, I mean, it's going to be a different story. But all props to the Kings here, because De'Aaron Fox, that dude is the best guy in the series so far. He's number 1. So thanks.
No doubt, Matt. Yep, thank you, Matthew. He's been the best player in the series. There's no doubt about it. And he's been the best player in the series in the biggest moments. And the Warriors, the moment that the Warriors looked like they had the most control of this series, up 10 late in the third quarter, he went into takeover mode and carried the Kings to the Game 1 win, and that led into this game tonight and the Kings' ability to put it on the Warriors again, and then it's close down the stretch, and Fox does his thing. And I mentioned this a lot on Saturday, this is exactly how the Kings have won games all year. It hasn't always been pretty. There have been a lot of nights where they do hit 18 to 20, 22 threes. And I think if there's one thing to fear a little bit if you're the Warriors, it's the fact that the Kings haven't really played that well. And the Warriors at times have really defended them well, but haven't made the most of it when they do because of bad offense. And then there's been other times where the Warriors have scored the ball well and run their offense to completion and gotten layups against a Kings team that can be extremely vulnerable to that defensively. But as the game and the offense has opened up for the Warriors, they've settled a little too much. The Kings will hit you with that 6-0 run when you do settle or you do turn the ball over. And then down the stretch of these games, it's flipped, where the Warriors pretty good defensively for the most part over the course of the game, except for the stretch basically when they've had to go to that bench at the end of the first and the end of the first quarter, top of the second quarter. And then you get to that point down the stretch, and the Kings have been able to have their way. The Warriors have not been able to get enough stops in crunch time, but the Kings were one of the best teams in the league. The Kings offensively in clutch situations, 5-point game, 5 minutes or less, had a 128.6 offensive rating in the clutch. And a lot of that was De'Aaron Fox. Their offensive rating in the clutch was 10 points better than the next closest team. Again, if you haven't watched the Kings, this is how they've won all year. And some nights it's offense, but the one thing they do, even though they aren't a great defensive team, is they compete at an extremely high level, and Mike Brown's really gotten them to buy into the physicality. And if there's one thing you fear, the Warriors are due for a couple hot shooting games, but the Kings are also due for a couple hot shooting games. And part of the story of this series to this point has been that when the Warriors have kind of gotten it going offensively, the games become loose, and the Kings are very comfortable playing in that 40 to 38 quarter type of scenario. And so they've been able to just kind of hang around and wait for those moments where the Warriors are undisciplined and make them pay for it. And that's where the Warriors are going to have to come out and they have to be relentless in their focus in terms of the way they're running their offense and clearing the boards and also getting the stops. The game has just been disconnected in that fact over the course of these first 2 games, and that's a big part of what the Warriors are going to have to figure out. All right, keeping it moving on the phones, 888-957-9570. We are going to hear from Steve Kerr and Draymond Green coming up here on Warriors Wrap-Up as Draymond addressed the incident with Domantas Sabonis and some of the officiating concerns that he's had to this point in the early part of this series. No doubt, though, kind of wrapping up on Matthew's point, you can't count this Warriors team out. I mean, they were excellent at home this season, better at home this year than they were last year. The Kings were excellent on the road, though. Don't file that away. As good as the Kings have been in these first 2 games in bothering the Warriors, they've been a really fluid team on the road this season. Best road record in the Western Conference among any of the playoff teams. They didn't win at Chase early. Warriors were able to eke out a couple of close ones, but the Kings have been no slouch on the road. The Warriors are going to have to get after it against them on Thursday. Herbert in San Francisco next on 95.7 The Game. What's going on, Herbert?
Hey, good evening, JD.
What's going on, man?
Can you hear me? I got you loud and clear, Herbert.
I got you loud and clear, Herbert.
What's going on, man? Few quick, can you hear me?
I got you loud and clear, Herbert. What's going on, man? Few quick, can you hear me? I got you loud and clear, Herbert.
Okay, great. So, I mean, the biggest thing I notice is Curry seemed tired tonight, and that's because they're picking him up full court. They're making him come all the way down the court to get the offense started. So they run a lot of time doing that. And this coach for the Sacramento Kings knows how they play. So to me, coaching needs to devise something else that's different than what they know. Because you look, Draymond gets the ball, and they're looking for switching, and no switching is happening much because they know how to play that, how to play defense for that. Because I have a coach who's been involved with that type of offense for several years with the Warriors. To the front court, when Darren gets by his his defensive player, when he comes into the paint, the front court's got to move up to try to do something, block it. They can't. If the Warriors, if the Sacramento player misses the shot, there's nobody there to rebound upside to compete with the Warriors, the Sacramento Kings center. So those are the two things that I noticed tonight.
Yeah, thanks for the call. They are, and there was a texter from the 415 as well on the Comcast Business text line that makes that excellent point. The Kings are picking up right at the timeline, if not before, at half court and harassing them, and those have been the possessions where it's been more difficult to get into and run that offense to completion. There's no doubt about it. And the Warriors are going to have to find maybe that is Curry giving it up a little bit more and then trying to get it back in the context of what the Warriors like to do in their offense. But regardless of what it is, they're going to have to find something that they can go to make the game come together. And be connected better. And somebody pointing out the 41 points in the second quarter. Well, it was 17 in the first quarter, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. The Warriors in the first quarter they give up 17, which is excellent, but they score 23. Right, so you give up 17, which is good, but you only score 23. You need to. They haven't been able. It's all right. So that was a defensive quarter. Second quarter, the Warriors scored 29, so they got into the offense, and I thought late in the second quarter, by the way, was another critical moment for the Warriors. The Warriors had gotten the game tied right after things had gotten away from them. They get the game tied. And they got it to where it was a 35-29 quarter with about a minute left, and then they give up the final 6 points at the end of the quarter. And so the Warriors found themselves in big trouble at that point. And they kind of wasted all the hard work that they had done throughout the middle and late part of the quarter in the final minute, and they found themselves down 6, and I think even that was a slog. All of a sudden they're down 6, and it's like, oh, you got to fight back uphill again, and it wound up being too much for them to overcome. Although they did get the game tied in the final 3 minutes, but yeah, 14-4 run late in the second quarter for the Warriors. They tied the game, so they went from down 10 to tie the game at 52, and then they gave up 6 in under a minute. They were down 58-52. That was a critical juncture where the Kings ran off, and that was bad shot, turnover. Kings hit a couple of buckets. Wiggins missed a layup at the end of the half that was critical. Wiggins missed another layup in the second half, which was critical. Warriors would have loved to have had those points back as they made their run and got the game to a point where it was tied, where they could have been ahead. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. All right, Josue, Robin, Abdul. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we're going to come back. We'll get to your phone calls right out of the chute. Kings beat the Warriors. Game 2, Warriors down 0-2, 114-106. Quick timeout. We're coming back, and we're getting right back to the phones here on 95.7 The Game.
U.S. Bank is ranked #1 in customer satisfaction with retail banking in California by J.D. Power. Since California is home to most award shows, we've prepared a thank you speech.
To Californians everywhere, we've been proud to help you plan, budget, and save smarter. Our goal tracking and budgeting tools would have no place to shine if it weren't for you, and we can't thank you enough for that. And thank you to our real-life humans who go above and beyond for our customers every day.
Bravo, U.S. Bank, bravo!
For J.D. Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Member FDIC.
Doors and loading dock equipment are a crucial part of your business, and one you probably don't think much about until they break. A broken door or dock leveler can be a real security threat, along with disturbing the flow of goods in your business. Luckily, RNS is here for all your commercial door, dock, and gate needs. From overhead doors and security shutters to fire-rated and personnel doors, RNS can provide your business with safety and security. Call 800-FIX-A-DOOR to schedule a free estimate or visit rsdoors.com. RNS Doors. Look for the red truck.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with autosave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Navien tankless water heaters, the proven leader in condensing technology. Request a Navien because you deserve the best in endless hot water delivery. Learn about Navien's condensing tankless water heaters and find a Navien contractor at tanklessmadesimple.com.
Count on Navien.
When looking for a partner in your property search, know that agents who are realtors are different. Realtors are bound by a code of ethics, putting your best interests first. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
Finding great people to hire can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Their powerful matching technology delivers so many qualified candidates, it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. For less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Here's football legend Howie Long for Skechers hands-free slip-in footwear.
The world has gone hands-free, using the phone, turning on your lights, heck, even driving. However, if you want to put on a pair of sneakers, you still need to bend down and help your feet in. Until now. Introducing Skechers hands-free slip-in footwear. Let me tell you, these things are amazing. You don't need to lace up, and they're even better than your standard slip-on sneakers. This is next-level slip-in technology, where you don't need to reach down and help your heel in. You just step in, and off you go. It's that easy. So what's the secret? There's a special smooth comfort pillow in the heel that helps your foot slide into place, and also keeps your feet secure in heavenly comfort, which means they stay on just like a pair of laced-up sneakers. And you can even slip into them while you're sitting down. Make your life easier and go hands-free with Skechers' new hands-free slip-in footwear. You'll never have to struggle putting on your shoes again.
Get hands-free slip-ins for the whole family at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
The reviews are in for McDonald's hotter, juicier burgers. Let's hear what Hamburglar has to say.
Bravo, bravo.
What our old friend Hamburglar said is, the patties are juicier. The bun is a thing of beauty. The cheese perfectly melted.
Bravo.
My burger dreams have come true. You heard him, folks. These are McDonald's best burgers ever. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Bravo.
Available at most restaurants in this area. Comparison of McDonald's classic burgers to prior burgers.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. Terms and conditions apply. For full details, see unlock.com/legal.
Lisa, thanks for having me over. Your new kitchen is gorgeous. How'd you find the money to do it?
We worked with this great company, Unlock. They help you unlock the future value of your home to get the cash you need today.
So it's a home equity loan?
No, it's not a loan at all. There's no monthly payments and no interest charges ever. And you can use the money however you want. We were able to redo our kitchen and pay off our credit card debt.
Wow, Jack and I could really use this to finally pay off our old student loan debt. How do I get started?
It's easy. Just send them a text.
Text wallet to 323232 to unlock the value in your home and get up to $500,000 in cash with no monthly payments and no interest ever. Pay off debt, improve your home, add your retirement fund. It's up to you. Just text wallet to 323232 right now to see if you qualify. Text the word wallet to 323232 323232. Text wallet to 323232 now.
Who doesn't love shopping for a new car? It's so much fun. But shopping for financing, nobody likes to do. Luckily, First NorCal Credit Union can help. With rates, they've got low rates, 3.99% APR. And you could save big by skipping that dealer financing and apply the manufacturer rebate to your down payment. Visit firstnorcalcu.org to learn more. Must qualify for membership. Rates subject to change without notice. Loan subject to credit approval. 3.99 annual percentage rate based on 36-month term and 780 FICO score. 29.52 per $1,000 borrowed.
Hey guys, this is Keenan Thompson. I have a problem with you. Yes, you. None of y'all told me that AutoTrader has millions of new and used cars that I can shop from home. I thought we were friends. I put smiles on your face, but I'm not smiling. No one told me that with AutoTrader, a dealer can deliver cars to my home or that I could shop by price on AutoTrader. No one. Consider this friendship that you just learned we had officially over. Finally, it's easy. AutoTrader.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. You're driving along and some nimrod cuts you off. You hit the horn. Jeez, it sounds like a goose in distress. Time to head over to eBay Motors. They have horns for every make and model, not to mention horn pads, steering wheels, wiring, and more. 122 million parts. You can even go for an upgrade. Looks like Mr. Cutoff Man needs a new seat cover. Try eBay Motors, pal. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Curry with the behind-the-back dribble. Runs Mitchell through screens. Finds Thompson. Same spot, same shot, same result! He's a shooting shark. He circles the court looking for buckets. It's 102-101.
Now back to Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game.
Story of this series, just when it looks like the Warriors are about to gain a little bit of control, and it looked that as Clay hit a couple of big shots in those moments there in the fourth quarter, the Kings are able to go on a run and put the game away. They do it again tonight, winning in the crunch as the Warriors outscored down the stretch 12-5, and they lose this one 114-106. Back here in Golden One Center in Sacramento, John Dickinson here on 95.7 The Game. 888-957-9570. That is the phone number to give me a call or shoot me a text. Got some text to get to, but as promised, we're going to get right back to the phones, and we'll roll with Josue in Fremont. What's going on, Josue?
Hey, JD. Love the show. Love what you had to say on signing Guru earlier as well. Just want to chime in a little bit on the silver lining of what I'm taking away from the first couple games in Sacramento. You know, I thought if we were going to steal a game, it was going to be in game one, sloppy play, but we had it there at the end. Tonight, I thought with how sloppy we were with the ball, I didn't even think we were going to have a chance. And lo and behold, 7 minutes left, we were making a run until Dre got ejected. I know there was a few more things that happened, but I really felt like that's when the pressure turned up on Steph because we didn't have that secondary ball handler. But the silver lining is, you know, I can almost hear Steiny yelling at Guru in my head, like, what do you expect us to play? This is how they play on the road all year. What do you want? But if that's how we play on the road, well, all year coming home, I'm feeling pretty good because I'm liking our chances if we just get our crowd behind us, take care of the ball a little bit better, and play Warriors basketball. And my question, or like my comment I'd like to make, and to see if you have any input, like I don't think we should make any major strategic changes coming home. Just play our style of basketball. But if we were to come back home, back to Sacramento with the series tied, what do you think about getting the ball to Wiggins and sometimes even Clay on the block or in the post to kind of slow the game down and maybe get some, some legit foul calls? But
yeah, thanks, Josue. Good call there. Yeah, Wiggins has had some matchups where he's been able to attack and have his way. Even Klay Thompson has had some matchups where he's been able to put it on the deck and attack and be able to finish. I think that's where the secret sauce, so to speak, is for the Warriors if they come back to this building. I think what they're going to have to do, And I'm with you as far as the I think that the two silver linings out of tonight are Moody might be playable in this series now, and Wiggins continues to look good aside from the three-point shot. Now, Wiggins' inability to make threes in these first two games has also, in some way, been part of the reason why the Warriors haven't won, and the three-point shooting overall has really burned them. But to be able to run your offense and to be able to get the layup line that the Warriors have had at times in this series, you got to not turn the ball over. And the Kings are able to force, whether it's because of the Warriors being just sloppy or uncomfortable or the physicality is getting to them, whatever it is, the desire to have to match what the Kings are doing offensively in certain stretches, and the Warriors have just not been patient enough. The Kings deserve some of the credit for what they've been able to do there, but you can't turn it over as much as the Warriors have turned it over if you're expecting to be able to run that offensive game plan. It's figure out the offense, I think, for the bulk of the game to where you can win the game before it gets to the final 5 minutes. I think that's the goal for Game 3, is get the game to a point where you're not playing in a tie game with 5 minutes left, because the Kings have won just as many of those games on the road as they have at home, and maybe even more on the road. Now, the Warriors have been exceptional at home, and they'll take their chances, but both of these teams at this point are due for, I think, a hotter shooting night. As far as the rotation, I'm reluctant to say look, I think Kuminga's probably played his way out, as I've said a few different times here. I do think, though, home and away, you're going to give some players more of an opportunity. So that's why I'm not totally burying him at this point. Although if you're Steve Kerr, how could you trust him or think he should play more? He's been a better home player, though, I think, and the energy's better at home. And they're able to overcome his mistakes a little bit at home. And so the Warriors are going to have to maybe ride that. Poole, I think, is still going to get chances, but he was a quick yank a couple of times tonight, and that added up to only the 15 minutes. Robin in San Francisco next here on 95.7 The Game. Hey, Robin.
Hey, JD. Thank you for taking my call. Always, I just had to call you a couple of things. I don't usually vent, but I just want to vent for a few seconds here and then get to my main point. First of all, I just want to. Draymond's not one of my favorite players. I don't know if you know that, but I mean, dude yanking on his ankle was not cool. That's all I got to say about that. That was not cool. Okay, all about his behavior. Yeah. But on his ankle, that was not cool. And then also, I'm not going to blame the refs, but they couldn't get any offensive rebounds because every time they tried to get physical, there was a foul call. A lot of that was the lack of discipline. But I want to say this to you. This is a different little take, okay? Curry, yeah, they're putting pressure on Curry. I disagree that he was tired. What he reminds me of is when he used to first get pressured. He would never get rid of the ball. And Curry, people don't want to say it, but he took a couple shots tonight, more than a couple shots that he shouldn't have. And I feel sometimes leadership, I'm talking about the core that's been there, including Wiggins. Sometimes leadership is getting other players involved that you need. And what I see on the court are players, the main players, our championship core, not trusting the other players and not being leaders and getting other people involved because they can't do it all by themselves. The starters are not good enough. And if you're not good enough, you got to get the rest of the team involved. And everybody else, what they have to say, including you, are all right too. But that was just one of the perspectives I want to put out there. Leadership comes in many ways than just taking over and jacking up threes. Get these other players involved. Peace out.
Yeah, appreciate it. The bad shots have just crippled this team in both of these games in the series. Like, just too many times they've settled. We've talked about it a ton. I do think Curry is a little tired. I also agree with you, though, Robin, that he does need to get rid of the ball quickly. That is one counter. One counter is Curry brings it up, and you get rid of it, and you keep moving. You get rid of it, you move the ball a little bit, you try to get him some shots in the context of the rest of the offense, and the Warriors have been good at doing that at times and making other teams pay. As far as Sabonis, I think you're spot on as far as Sabonis has been getting away with some of the low-key dirty stuff. He's been getting away with the low-key dirty stuff, holding, grabbing, pushing, checking. Like Sabonis he's played, and he's somebody that can be susceptible to foul trouble. But he kind of gotten away with it a little bit, and the Warriors have been reactive in this series, I think, to it. The old adage is that the team that is the aggressor gets more of the calls. And I don't think necessarily that the Warriors haven't gotten calls in this series. They have gotten calls. And I think tonight you could make the case at times they got a decent whistle in this game. But there has been, I think, a frustration building for what, the Kings are pushing the envelope in terms of the physicality, and the officials haven't quite been paying attention to it. And I think a little bit of that boiled over with the Draymond stomp and all of that with Sabonis, and obviously it leads to Draymond, getting on the crowd and smiling. They put him up on the scoreboard here in Golden One Center, and the crowd's going nuts and they're booing him, and he just big Draymond Green smile right there on the scoreboard, just laughing and enjoying the moment there as he was waiting for his ultimate fate, which would be to get ejected. But no, Sabonis has been absolutely pushing the line and getting away with stuff in this series. I mentioned this a couple of days ago, and I do think it wouldn't surprise me if the league, and I believe the league will never admit that they do this. I've always believed that the league does this. They look at a series after every game, and especially when a series shifts from one venue to the other, as this series will in the next couple of days here, and the Warriors are going back home tonight. But I do think the league looks at it and says, hey, have we let certain things have we let a certain team get away with certain things here or there, and they make that adjustment in the next game. And things all of a sudden are called differently in an attempt to get it back to a more level scenario as the series continues. And I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Sabonis has got he starts getting called for some of the things that he hasn't been called for in the early part of this series, and Monk starts to get called for some of the things that he hasn't been called for earlier on in the series. So I think there is the potential for that to be the case, but the Warriors are going to have to keep playing through it and trying to overcome it until that point and hit first. Kevon Looney talked today at Shoot Around about hitting first, and I don't think the Warriors really hit first in terms of the physicality. The Kings hung in the game in the first quarter, even though they only scored 17 points, because I think they were still the aggressors more than the Warriors were. 888-957-9570. Mario and Alameda next here on Warriors Wrap Up. What's going on, Mario?
Hey, great show, JD. I was thinking, we're turning the ball over, the Warriors, and is that the Warriors that can't dribble, that can't pass, or are we just missing another backup point guard? Do we need a backup point guard to put so Steph isn't gassed at the end of the game when he could really do what he needs to do? Because the Warriors should easily be up 2-0, and our lack of not having another point guard is probably going to cost us the series. It's already cost us 2 games, in my opinion, because if you had a backup point guard to come off the bench, then Poole, Kuminga, Wiggins, and GP3, they'd be fine. They could go do their thing, and the Warriors, and just like you say, the Warriors aren't trusting their backup players. That's probably why, because they don't have, those guys are not in the right position, so they're turning the ball over. Poole is not a ball handler. I hate to break it to everybody. That's not his shtick. His shtick is doing his thing off the dribble, shooting, or going to the hoop. But passing and dribbling has never been his number one goal. His forte. And the Warriors last year, we actually got away with it. We've still won a title, but it really should have bit us last year. But it seems like it's finally going to get us this year, not having that point guard that could drive and do his thing, because we did have the number 1 pick. Had we gotten a point guard that could do for those last couple of years.
All right, Mario. Appreciate it. Thanks, Mario. Thanks for the call. Mario, he worked his way into running material. He worked his way into, and yeah, all right, LaMelo Ball. Thanks, Mario. We'll keep it moving with Patrick in South City next year on Warriors Wrap Up. What's up, Patrick?
John, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man.
I know we've talked about this before, but I'm going to advocate it again. there is a huge structural problem with this team. Okay? For example, we have a $350 million payroll. We have all the talent in the planet on this team. Yet, we've won 11 games on the road. We're turning the ball over 22 times a game. We're giving up 100, 125 points a game. You know, there's a lack of intensity. There's a lack of energy. There's a lack of focus. And that tells me that there's something much, much deeper than just we're not executing. I mean, there's got to be something going on with this team much deeper than what we're addressing here every night. And I really think it starts with coaching. I know you disagree with me on this before, but I think Kerr is just, I don't think he's an effective coach at this point. I think he's had his run, and I think he's making lots of mistakes. He's being outcoached. He looks frustrated. And I just think these players are just, for whatever reason, unlike Mike Brown, they're just not buying into this system this year. And I wanted to get your comments on that.
Yeah, I just think there's been a tendency to roll with what's always worked in some ways, Patrick, because the big three demand that. I mean, Klay Thompson was as defiant and edgy and angry as I've ever seen him yesterday when he got asked about shot selection. Like, you know, and saying, hey, I don't want to hear about shot selection, what a good shot and a bad shot is from somebody that didn't play the game. Like Klay, these guys are stubborn as to what they've done because of the success that they had. Like, I don't think there can be all these changes that can be made at this particular point in time. And I think the other reality is this team is not as talented and as deep as people think they are. And, you know, that's the difference between, you know, a team that can get through the regular season, and at times a lot of these players that have not played well in the regular, like Jordan Poole was up and down in the regular season. Jordan Poole had a down year collectively in the regular season. Now, he helped the Warriors win some games in different roles when they were shorthanded, and he was filling in for Curry and had a little bit more leeway to be able to make mistakes, but also to make big plays. And Jordan Poole was able to help the Warriors a lot in those instances. But the back and forth in and out of the starting lineup with the injuries and everything surrounding it, he had a down year this year. Kuminga was up and down. Kuminga wasn't playing at all at the beginning of the year. And then he worked his way into the rotation. The Warriors carved out a niche for him to be able to play. Wiseman was so bad that they ended up just trading him at that point. You look at, Moody was unplayable for a good chunk of the year. And so part of the reason these guys weren't playing was because they weren't effective. I mean, the Warriors went and got Gary Payton II and gave up James Wiseman to bring him back into the fold, even though he was going to be injured for a month at the point in which they got him and not play for almost 2 months at the point in which they got him, because they didn't feel they had enough options. And where would the Warriors be in this series right now if they didn't have Gary Payton II as a defender? Gary Payton II is one of the 6 players, I think, right now that Steve Kerr fully trusts. And so, I think it's hard to call for these wholesale changes when the big three is hell-bent on trying to get the job done in a similar fashion that they've gotten the job done throughout the course of this championship run. At some point, your greatest strengths are also your greatest weaknesses. And I think that's the one thing we're starting to find here in this series with the Warriors is they're so used to getting it done in a certain way, and they're so used to not having it come up short that there's just this refusal to buy into the fact. Like I've had I put out on Twitter, Curry in a key moment he had a wide open three that was a quick shot in a moment where the Warriors were on a run. And I said, Curry makes that shot a lot. It's a quick three. And people come down my road and they say, you got to live with that because it's Steph. Klay takes a quick shot. You got to live with it because it's Klay. What I'm saying is, as far as the shot selection, this team has to recognize that they're not quite as good, that they're a little bit older, that they're not as deep, that their young players are not playable in this series at the level that they would hope they would be. And so the change isn't scheme. The change is you can't take so many of those first open threes. You got to keep the ball moving a little more. You got to maybe play a little bit slower, because playing too fast and frenetic in the way the Kings are playing in this series is causing you to turn the freaking ball over too much. So you got to make the adjustment there. The adjustment is how you're playing. The adjustment is how you play and not necessarily what you do at this point Although the Warriors are going to have to figure out something with De'Aaron Fox late in the game because he's hitting a couple of threes when the Warriors have left him open up top. He's getting to his spot in between and hitting the little flip shot, which I think has been critical. He's done that at will basically whenever he's wanted to since the third quarter of game one after the Warriors did a nice job early in this one. So we can talk about the structural problem and maybe the roster wasn't put together very well, but I just don't see all this talent that the Warriors have to go to. If anything, some of the guys that they thought they were going to count on this year have not held up their end. The Warriors went into this year thinking Poole was going to be a major factor, Kuminga was going to be in the rotation every night and able to contribute, Moody too, and they had maybe something in Wiseman, and they end up at the end of the year with, wow, Poole's playing 15 minutes tonight because he didn't have it. Moody is giving him something, but Kerr only went to him because it was an emergency situation with foul trouble and other players playing their way out, and Kuminga was terrible. So this team just does not have the talent, I think, that they anticipated having, and that, to me, is the structural miscalculation. But again, that's something to get into if and when this season ends, and if the Warriors don't figure this thing out here in the next couple of days and over the course of the next week, leading into Game 3 and through Game 4, they're in big trouble. 888-957-9570. Ricky in Boston next here on 95.7 The Game. What's going on, Ricky? Oh, we lost Ricky. From Ricky to Red. Red in Phoenix. What's going on, Red?
Hey, what's going on, JD?
What's going on, brother?
Hey, I'm calling from Phoenix, Arizona, and I just want to preface this conversation that I'm a Warrior fan, right? So I'm having a lot of trouble with people defending Draymond still because, like, fool me once, right? Fool me once, fool me twice, shame on me, right? Because with Steven Adams' nut kick, right? LeBron James' nut punch, and then now this, it's like, it's no doubt that he's a dirty player, and I can't defend him anymore. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. I mean, I had that thought, Red, when the play happened tonight in real time, and I hadn't seen what led up to it. I don't think, Red, do you think that what Draymond did was intentional? Like, do you think it was intentional that he, hey, I'm going to step on this dude's chest right now because he grabbed my leg? We lost Red. All right, Red's gone. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. It doesn't matter whether it was intentional or not, and I don't think it was. I think Draymond was trying to get away and trying to get his balance in that situation, and it doesn't matter. You can't do that. Like, that's you watch that one time and you're like, that's an automatic ejection, and it was, and it should have been. And they did get Sabonis for, I think, the most they could have probably got Sabonis for, which was the ankle takedown, which led to the two getting tangled up. That being said, though, I think, look, I'm not going to argue. If any Warrior fan feels that way, and that hasn't necessarily been a theme of the show tonight, asking that question, but any Warrior fan that feels that way off of all of the different incidents, I mean, I can't argue with you if you do. The truth, though, is if the Warriors are going to come back and win this series, they're going to need a hell of a lot more from Draymond Green than they've gotten in these first couple of games. And he's going to have to keep his composure in addition to that. All right, 888-957-9570. Let's get to the hardest working player of the game before we pause here. We'll come back. We'll hear from Steve Kerr and Draymond Green as the Warriors lose this one in Sacramento, 114-106. But the hardest worker is brought to you by AC Transit.
Curry flips it to Moody, back to Looney. Looney drives in, goes up, got fouled. No, tipped in by Moody.
There you go. That's that extra possession I'm talking about. Get a charge, get an offensive rebound. That was a nice job.
Yeah, nice job there from Moses Moody. I thought Moses Moody helped the Warriors tonight. I put it out there on Twitter at halftime. I don't think Kerr could have played Kuminga, and unless Kuminga plays really well and finds something in these next two games at home, and I think he's on the brink. But I think Moody was stable in this game tonight. He got a couple rebounds, put back. I think he was steady enough defensively. Moses Moody, on a night where the Warriors find themselves with fewer playable players seemingly than they had at the beginning of the night, is your hardest worker of the game, which is brought to you by AC Transit. AC Transit, looking for hard workers and offering a $2,000 bonus for new bus operators and journey-level mechanics to join their team. For complete details, visit actransit.org/careers. That's actransit.org/careers. All right, we'll keep it rolling here. 888-957-9570. We'll give Ricky in Boston another chance here on 95.7 The Game. What's up, Ricky?
Hey, JD, you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear, my man.
JD.
I got you, Ricky.
Yeah. Cool. Listen, so, I'm a Klay Thompson fan, and tonight, I don't know, man. I've been kind of disappointed in Klay, play the last couple of games, man. He's out there, but he's not really out there. Like, for some reason, he just looks like he's lost. He's like, what I loved about Klay in the past, Klay was compared to, like, Reggie Miller, moving without the ball. I don't see that from Klay anymore. I saw a couple of times he did that, late in the fourth quarter, move without the ball. But for the most part, he just stands still in the corner, waiting, for the ball so he can shoot it. He doesn't move without the ball anymore. He's like a statue, if you want to say. I mean, that's, something that Klay lost, from his play. I mean, I guess with the injuries, he can't do that all the time. I guess, experienced player, veteran, preserving his energy, I guess. But, that's hurting the Warriors because when they're trying to, Curry's, dribbling the ball all the way down to the, 5, second shot clock, right? And who is going to pass it to? Clay's just standing in one spot. Clay's not moving, so, the Sacramento Kings are, they're smothering Curry. I've seen that. And give props to Coach Brown. He knows what they're going to do. He knows. He has all the insight. And his players, the Kings are stepping up. That's all I got, man. Thank you for your time, baby.
Yeah, you do have to give the Kings credit for the way that they've played, and a lot of people getting into it about the officiating and all of that as well. But I do think it's interesting, when this team. The reality is this team's just got to play better. They've got to figure out a way to play better. They've got to try to use some of what the Kings are trying to do against them. If they're going to pressure Curry, then get the ball out of his hands and use that to make him pay. And the Warriors have been unable at this point consistently to do it, but they've also been unwilling consistently to continue to run their offense, which is, I think, a part of the deal. A couple of text messages I wanted to get to here also on the Comcast Business text line, 888-957-9570. As far as the officiating and all of that goes, 510, Sabonis ran into Draymond when Draymond was inbounding the ball. Should have been called for a foul. Draymond was called for the foul. Clearly, the officials are favoring the Kings. A couple of overturned calls, embarrassing for the officials. I think for the most part, it has been I think it's been an even whistle, but there has been some timely issues that have gone against the Warriors a little bit in this series to where their frustration is built up. I think that the Warriors side of it on the officiating, and I'm going to try to be fair about this. I think the Warriors side on the officiating is both teams are being physical, and the Kings have been able to get away with a little bit more. I think that's the Warriors' view of the officiating to this point early on in the series. 510, Mike Brown knowing all the Warriors' weaknesses is the problem in this series. Look at the way he's defending Steph Curry because he's the main offensive issue. And another person asking about Anthony Lamb over Jonathan Kuminga. Love Kuminga, but he seems to get nervous during the playoffs and not ready yet. Yeah, Kuminga's not ready yet. And again, maybe you give him another shot at home, but the Warriors can't mess around. And I think the fact that Kerr didn't go to him in the second half tells you all you need to know. Adrian Wojnarowski reporting here on Domantas Sabonis. X-rays negative on Sabonis and his sternum, and it appears he's avoided injury. That, according to sources, he's going to undergo further testing on Tuesday as a precaution. I guess there was some concern about Sabonis and his ribs and lungs getting evaluated after Draymond obviously had stepped on him. So good news on that. Obviously, you don't want Sabonis to be hurt or anything like that. But Woj reporting X-rays negative on Sabonis. So additional testing on Tuesday as a precaution to the rib area and the sternum area as far as the step there from Draymond Green. All right, keeping it moving on the phones. Is it Caprice or Caprice in Florida? What's going on, Caprice?
Hey, JD, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, so my take is, for real, is, man, I'm getting really sick of the Warriors beating themselves. It's kind of been a constant theme just throughout the rest of the season and in the playoffs. Like, I feel like the turnovers, man, that's unacceptable. I don't care what anybody says. That's unacceptable. And the thing is just that I'm watching the game, and I'm watching game one, and it's like I'm looking at what the Warriors could do. Like, in game one, Golden State was up 10. That time, you need to just, like, go for the kill and end it there. You know what I'm saying? And then in game two, you beat yourself with turnovers. And it just makes me mad at how such an experienced team, a battle-tested team, keeps doing that to themselves. And also with the referee. I agree with you and I disagree with you at the same time because, honestly, JD, I feel like the refs are just low-key favoring the Kings. It's even, but because I feel like Golden State got some calls, but at the same time, I'm looking at the calls that Sabonis should have been fouled out. And that little pull on Draymond Green, that's on him. What are you doing grabbing my legs for? I think in that situation, like, I don't know anybody in that situation. If somebody grabs my leg, I'm going to do what I'm going to do to not, so that you don't grab my leg. But that's really what I have to say about it. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, no, thanks, Caprice. Good phone call. I think the 707 here on the Comcast Business text line sums it up, I think, pretty well. It feels like the Warriors are getting called for more of the touch fouls than the Kings, and the Warriors are getting called a whole bunch in a short amount of time, like where it's 4 fouls that put the Warriors, who are a foul-prone team, in the bonus in the first couple of minutes of a quarter, which gives the officials an opportunity again to dictate terms as far as, hey, you want to let something go, you want to put a team on the line, you kind of can in that instance. Again, I'm not a big conspiracy officiating guy, but I do think in the history of watching the NBA, and I've watched the NBA since I was a little kid for about 33, 34 years, and the history of a lot of these playoff series is it gets called one way to a certain point and then it flips. And so I would almost guarantee you, in a way, that over the next couple of games, the Warriors are going to get a better whistle and the Kings are probably going to be a little bit more frustrated. Some of that is just home-road splits. I do think some of it is the league taking a look at the ebbs and flows of the game tonight, or of the series as a whole once you get to that point. And so, those things do, I feel like, tend to even out to a point where over the course of a series, you can get to a 6th or a 7th game and then just kind of let the chips fall where they may. And so I think that's where this series is moving forward as far as looking toward Game 3 and a couple of days off. 213 on the text line. JD, did Draymond's technical shift momentum and cost the Warriors the game? I thought it lit the fuse on the Warriors. To be honest, I thought the Warriors were in trouble at that point, when that went down, and the Warriors it was 91-87 when that happened. The tech and the flagrant. The Warriors actually ended up a +1 on the whole exchange. Now the Warriors had the ball taken away from them because the Warriors had the ball in the moment where Draymond stomped Sabonis after Sabonis grabbed him. The Warriors were down 4. Sabonis missed both free throws, and Steph Curry made the technical free throw. So the Warriors were +1 in that situation, but then the Kings got the ball, and De'Aaron Fox hit the little pull-up, and it was 93-88, but the Warriors answered at 93 all on the Peyton 3 from the corner. De'Aaron Fox, though, again got to a spot. Like, to me, I don't think it changed the momentum. I think it kind of lit the fuse for the Warriors, and they were ready to go win the damn game at that point. And then Curry tied it at 95, but once the game was tied at 95, Harrison Barnes gets the dunk. Curry misses a 3. Fox hits another pull-up. And again, they just had no answer for Fox in that moment, and that was the Curry wide-open missed 3 that I thought was a bad shot. And then Fox goes back the other way, and the Warriors are down 4, and all of a sudden, they got burned a little bit for giving Wiggins, I think, a short wet rest in that moment, and where Fox got it cooking. But they battle back after that. Clay hits the 3 to make it a 1-point game, and then from that point on, the Warriors wind up getting outscored down the stretch in that one. What was it, 12-5 at that point, and the Warriors wind up losing this one by 8, 114-106. All right, let's continue to roll here on the phones. Actually, no, let's go ahead and hear from Steve Kerr as he addressed the media here inside Golden One Center. His take on the Warriors' inability to close this game down the stretch and where it got away from them, and also Steve Kerr's take on what happened with Draymond Green and Domantas Sabonis.
Steve, what concerns you the most going forward? Was it the 22 turnovers tonight or the inability to really get into your offense against Sacramento's pressure?
Yeah, they did a great job defensively of pressuring us, and we didn't handle it well enough to win, a playoff game on the road. And with that said, it's a tie game with 4 minutes left or whatever it was. So we know we have to play better. But we will play better. These guys are champions. You saw what they did in a really difficult situation with a lot of foul trouble, an ejection. The way our guys fought, they showed what they're made of. So now it's a matter of going home and licking our wounds a little bit. And, we get a little rest with a couple of days in between games, and we go home and take care of our home court.
What was your take on the Draymond ejection, and then I guess what came after that?
I didn't see the play live, and then I didn't see the replay. I asked Zach Zarba what happened. He told me, and I was busy with getting the team ready. One of the coaches told me he might get ejected, and so I was trying to prepare for what was next.
What happened down the stretch? I mean, you mentioned it was a tie game late. Obviously, you don't have Draymond, but just what did you see?
Yeah, I thought we were competing. We hit some big shots. Gary hits the corner 3 to tie it. I think Clay hit a big one on the wing. But they played better than we did down the stretch. I thought they were more physical tonight. It was an incredibly physical game. Really, a lot of physicality, not much movement, not much freedom of movement out there. So they were the aggressors, and I thought they benefited from being the aggressors.
We've talked a lot about how the Kings and you guys both like to play quick. Just what have you made of the pace of this series so far?
Well, tonight was obviously slower than game one. As I said, the game got much more physical early. I thought there could have been 10 fouls called in the first 3 minutes, 5 on each team. And so that's how you have to adapt in the playoffs. They established they weren't going to call much, and we played a really good first quarter. We held them to 17 points, but we couldn't sustain it, and the game got away from us there in the second quarter, and then they kind of controlled things from there. But as I said, I'm really proud of the effort to fight back and give ourselves a chance to win. We just didn't have enough.
And historically, you guys have always been a team that you try and speed up the series, right? Maybe other teams aren't as quick, but you really want to push the pace. Have you ever faced a team in your memory that can match you guys right there with just quickness?
We've played so many teams over the years in the playoffs, and we've seen a lot of different styles. So I'm not going to go into my history book right now. I got other things on my mind, but the playoffs are filled with challenges. Every team you play is going to be a great team. Obviously, Sacramento has had a hell of a year for a reason. I thought they played great defense tonight, so this is just about giving them credit.
Steve, you talked often all season about fouls, defending without fouling. How much of a factor has that been the 2 games, and what can you do to turn that around?
Well, like I said, the first half there were hardly any fouls called, and second half there were more called, and I think we had 5 in the first 2 minutes of the third quarter, which hurt us. But like I said, you have to adapt to the way the game is being called, and I thought we had a few too many reaches and holds and plays that we might have been able to avoid, but it was also an incredibly physical game, as I said.
Steve, you didn't play Jordan or Dante in the fourth quarter, didn't play Kuminga the entire second half. Was that production-based, or was that something of a plan? You were going to basically go with
No, it wasn't the plan. It was just reading the game and seeing what we needed. We had to have our best defensive lineups out there in the fourth quarter. That's why Gary and Wiggs played quite a bit the entire quarter, and we kept Steph and Clay out there for most of the quarter. I think Steph played the whole quarter because we had to have those guys to give us a shot, and so they got us there. They gave us a shot. Like I said, getting to that point, even with everything going on, I thought was really impressive, but just didn't have quite enough.
You also went to Moody. Are you seeing this series shifting in a way where you have to go kind of wing heavy, deep? I mean, kind of a little bit like to answer your question, but is that why Moody was suddenly?
Yeah, I mean, everything is a balance. You're trying to find the best two-way lineups you can. So on offense, I felt like we needed a little more spacing. And on defense, they're a physical team. We need some physicality. We need some size out there. So I gave Moses a crack. I thought he did a really nice job while he was out there.
Yeah, Moses Moody was really good in the minutes that he had. Steady, and the Warriors need steady, and he didn't find himself with the ball in his hands where he had to look to knock down a shot, which is something that really hasn't been able to do. I'd put him in the rotation. I know I've said that a couple of times here in the last hour and a half that we've been on, but I would give him a shot in the rotation in the home game on Thursday and try to roll with it that way. I think Jordan Poole's still going to get opportunities because he has been a player that's been able to help the Warriors a lot. You got to hope he plays better at home. I'm a little iffy on Kuminga at that point, but I do think Steve Kerr has it right. I mean, the Kings' defense does get some credit. And the Warriors played poorly at times, but yet there it is, tie game down the stretch, and that's been one of the interesting themes of this series to this point is the Warriors have been really bad at times, but then also hung around, and the Kings have been really bad at times and also hung around, but both of these games have come down to, all right, 2 minutes to go, it's basically tied, one possession game, and Sacramento's been able to be the better team in those situations, which has been on brand with who the Warriors have been all season long, and it's also on brand with who the Kings have been all season long as one of the most clutch offensive team in the NBA over the course of the year. All right, 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. Let's go ahead and roll Draymond Green in as he addressed everything that happened with Sabonis and the ejection and the explanation and the frustration with the officials, as well as Draymond met with the media.
Draymond, can you just walk us through what happened there?
My leg got grabbed. Second time in 2 nights. Referees just watch it. I got to land my foot somewhere. And I'm not the most flexible person, so it's not stretching that far.
So you didn't really see where you were stepping? You just kind of...
I can only step so far and pulling my leg away. So it is what it is.
What was the explanation they gave? I know they gave him a technical, then obviously you figured too.
The explanation was I stumped too hard.
How hard was that impact? Were you surprised that he was on the ground for that long?
No, I wasn't surprised that he stayed down that long.
You said 2 times you've been held with Sabonis, both times?
No, it was Monk last game, right on the baseline under the rim. So either you're going to stop it. John Goble was looking at Monk hold my leg the last game, and he just let it go. And Zach clearly was watching my leg get held this game and let it go. So I guess ankle grabbing is okay.
How would you describe your actions and the crowd's actions after that? You certainly egged them on. Did you feel you needed to respond to them, or were you hearing anything that you needed to respond to there?
No, I'm just having fun. It's a fun game, fun atmosphere to play in. So it's fun.
Draymond, you guys have been down 3-1 a couple of times. You've been through just about everything.
but you haven't been 0-2 in the series going home.
That's exciting, right?
I was going to ask you what you thought about it.
A new challenge. You know, after the game, I was actually thinking about that. Like, man, I think this is one we haven't seen yet. And we've conquered all the rest of them. So why not go conquer this one? It'll be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. It's good.
Draymond, how would you look at the first two games of the series in terms of the way you guys have played and the way they have played? I mean, what are you seeing?
I think we've played we've played okay. We haven't played awful, but we definitely haven't played well. And, you know, come down last 4 or 5 minutes each game and you got a chance to win the game. All things considered, I like where we are. We just got to, down the stretch, get stops and convert on the offensive end. But give yourself a chance to win. That's all you can ask for. And we've did that twice, so like it.
What have they done to make it so hard?
Well, they've made shots. They've put a lot of pressure on our defense. And they didn't particularly shoot the ball well all night, but they've made shots down the stretch. So got to give those guys some credit. But there's a lot of things we can clean up.
Draymond, you guys had 22 turnovers tonight. A lot of them were unforced. How can you clean that up?
You just got to accept the pressure and then go to your counters if the initial action isn't there. And I think a lot of times, and myself included, you're just trying to force it, you know, and getting a little sped up. So just can't get sped up. We know what we're trying to get to. You got to be patient, handle the pressure, and then, you know, when we handle the pressure, everything opens up. And so we just got to handle the pressure better initially, and I think that starts at the beginning of the game. And if I'm not mistaken, I've started 2 games in a row with a turnover, and so that sets the tone. I have to be better there.
Lastly, kind of a big picture look at this. Do you get any sort of a Warriors 2014, 2015 vibe with these Kings in terms of the youth and they're trying to climb the mountain kind of thing?
I mean, I think we can say that every year about another team, right? Last year's Memphis, this year's them. You know, when you've had the success that we have had, you're always going to get those comparisons, but it's hard to do, you know, what we've done. So kind of relax a little bit on the comparisons. I said I kind of relax. Not you have to relax. I kind of relax on the comparisons.
Draymond, putting the Sabonis incident aside, Steve mentioned this game has been very physical. How would you assess your team has been matching the physicality of the Sox?
I think at times we've matched the physicality. At times we've been the aggressor, and then but too many times we haven't. It's kind of figuring it out as well. You know, team gets physical, you get physical back, you get a foul call, you're trying to figure that out as well. So, you know, overall, done okay, but not to the level you need to be to win playoff games.
Draymond, the fourth quarter was all the veterans, I guess, except for when Moody came in a little bit for Wiggins. No Poole, no Dante even. Kuminga didn't play in the second half. Where do you see kind of those young guys? I mean, are you expecting more from them? Do you see something in them that you can get more from them?
It's different. It's different brand of basketball in the playoffs. So we know all those guys are more than capable. You know, we know what Jordan is capable of. We know what Dante is capable of. We know what JK is capable of. So just got to stay ready. Games take turns, and coaches have to make decisions based upon how they feel the game is going. And, you know, it happens every year, but you got to stay ready. And I know those guys will.
Draymond, there's always been the feeling that things would be different once the playoffs start, but it seems like some of the issues you're dealing with are the same as from the regular season: turnovers, fouling on defense. Is it hard to break out of issues that have, you know?
I mean, I think I told y'all in the regular season, you just don't flip a switch. Your issues are your issues, and you have to work through them and figure them out. So, you know, we gave up 29 free throws. Number realistically probably should be a little closer to 20. But it's not. So just got to figure it out.
How do you fix the foul?
We have to be better at the point of attack. That's guards who's guarding the ball. That's bigs who's in coverage. You have to be better at the point of attack. Once your defense is compromised, that's when you get fouls.
Draymond, Steph didn't take a shot in the third quarter until about 3.5 minutes left. They're obviously being very physical with him. As an initiator, how do you think you guys can best get him going earlier?
I don't know. We have to figure that out. That's something that we need to go watch on the film, try to figure out how we can release the pressure some, you know, and what other guys can do behind the play when he does get off the ball. We'll figure it out over the next couple of days, make our adjustments, and come ready to play in Game 3.
After you get ejected, do you go to back and watch the game? How does the final 6 minutes go for you?
Sometimes I watch, sometimes I don't. Lift some weights, get stronger. That's fine. I watched some of it. I didn't watch all of it. I watched here, watched there.
Partly asked because this is 2 straight games. You mentioned you're close late, but they've closed better than you guys. What do you think's going on down the stretch? I know
Fox has made plays. You gotta give Fox a lot of credit, but that's who he is. He's up for a clutch award for a reason. That's who he is. So I don't think it's been a scoring issue. I think we've scored down the stretch. We just haven't gotten stops. So I think it's a defensive issue.
Yeah, down the stretch, it has been a defensive issue once those games have been tied. But again, it goes hand in hand. Some bad shots. The turnovers, I think, have allowed the Warriors to not be in a better position to maybe be ahead when they have played better as opposed to tied. Like I said, the Kings have kind of hung around in a lot of these games. But you do have to give Sacramento credit for 2 A++ crowds, I think, in the first 2 games of this series. I mean, the onus is on Chase and the Warrior fan base to be lit and angry and edgy based on the way these first 2 games have gone, because the crowd in Sacramento has been every bit of that. You give the Kings credit for their physicality in a big-time way, and I think you also have to give De'Aaron Fox a lot of credit. De'Aaron Fox, and my guy Steiny always says this, how does it going to look if the Warriors don't win this series and the Kings prevail? Well, can Fox and or Sabonis be one of the best 2 or 2 of the best 3 players in the series? And Fox, to this point, has been the best player in the series, hands down. Bottom line, hands down, both games, De'Aaron Fox has been the best player in the series. And tonight it was 11 points, I think it was in the fourth quarter, and it was the 38-point performance, and he's controlled the game and gotten to his spots when he's needed to, and the Warriors have found themselves in this 0-2 hole now because of it. All right, that's going to do it for tonight. Appreciate everybody for calling in. Appreciate all the great text messages and all of that. And real quick, should also just pass along here in the final minutes, Domantas Sabonis did respond in the Sacramento locker room, and he said, and I'm reading this via Anthony Slater, he said there's no room for that, what Draymond did. No room for what Draymond did. So that's going to be something that's going to be widely discussed, obviously, over the next couple of days, and we'll see if the league feels they need to step in or not. I would lean not, but it's only going to add to the edge and the flavor of this series here moving forward as it shifts to Chase on Thursday night. All right, thanks to Sterling Bennett and Craig Valentino and everybody in our San Francisco studios. I'm John Dickinson. Look for a Warriors Weekly podcast with me and Matt Steinmetz. We'll drop that here coming up soon. We're going to try and get one in the bank tomorrow, which will be able to drop, and then I'm going to be on with Steiny and Guru, and we'll continue the conversation leading toward Thursday. Warriors Live at 6 from Chase, season on the line. Warriors and Kings, Game 3, 7 o'clock. We'll talk to you then, right here, as the Kings get the better of the Warriors, 114-106. You heard it right here on 95.7 The Game.
The playoffs are here, and sports fans are laser-focused. The Goodman Eye Center wants you to do the same with your eyes. We offer many options to fit your needs and correct your vision. So whether you're nearsighted, farsighted, or have astigmatism, the Goodman Eye Center can provide independence from glasses and contact lenses. When it comes to your vision, be sure to go with a winning team. Go with Dr. Daniel Goodman and his team at the Goodman Eye Center, the choice of champions. Schedule a free consultation today at GoodmanEyeCenter.com. That's GoodmanEyeCenter.com.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets.